I find a sense of awe in these biographies. It's just like they did not choose their work chose them simply because they were obsessive enough to explore their curiosities and genuine inclinations in life like crazy. The deeper you make the connection to your own self, the deeper your connection would be to your life's work, which I think would help you to do that work and not be affected by people around. Yo guys, namaskaram. So, Debukidastak is a platform where we talk on mental health and a lot of other sensitive issues, right? So basically, the entire aim of this channel is to build a community around sensitive issues and make people feel comfortable about themselves. So basically, if you're new here, consider subscribing. Our mission is to empower you with ideas to live smartly and joyfully. The world is full of suffering, but let us increase our competence to deal with things joyfully. And just a tip, so all these are basically conversations, so I might suggest that you should watch these conversations at 1.5x. You can increase the playback speed through the button in the settings. Cheers and enjoy watching. Yo guys, namaskaram. So today I wanted to talk about purposes in life, fundamentally speaking. So I think my last video was kind of well received by a lot of people. So I thought, okay, let's kind of move in that direction a little bit more and maybe just give you certain hook points as to how you can kind of find your purpose in life, right? So I think the first step is to kind of get in touch with your original self, the root form inclinations which you had towards certain things during your childhood. So this is also known as the primal inclination strategy. It is very much popularized by Robert Greene, but fundamentally, the core premise of it is that you kind of get in touch with all those things that invoked a certain sense of wonder in your childhood. So, you might have seen that as we kind of grow older in life, we lose touch with that person because of societal learning. So, it would be a major challenge for you since you would have to let go of your societal learnings in order to reconnect with whom you were as a person, what the universe kind of intended you to be. So you would see that once you get in touch with that, you would automatically start taking action in that line because it excites you so much. You wouldn't be distracted much by the opinions and voices of other people. The quality of work would matter to you more than anything else. Everything which you see as a problem right now would turn out to be your advantage because then the opinions, voices of all those people who kind of trigger a lot of fears, doubts in you wouldn't matter much. Instead, all your fears, doubts, insecurities, sense of boredom, and let's say that feeling of worthlessness would be wiped away in a single instance. Since all that wouldn't matter, the work would matter the most. You might have seen people who tend to age quickly in their lives, either when they are retired or usually these days it's mostly young people, unfortunately. The only reason I think for this is that their minds are blank. Some are doing their job just for the sake of it, while most old people have kind of lost a sense of purpose in their life. So, the less active you become in life, the more illnesses knock on your door. It's not important to retire when society deems you unfit for their business. Like, continue working throughout your life. It hardly matters. Maybe the time you can invest would be drastically low, but still, whatever keeps your mind active, and full of fresh ideas, it is what determines the richness of your experience of life, fundamentally speaking. So, the feeling of not being limited to your own little cocoon, but kind of genuinely contributing something to society is, I think, very precious and the most surreal feeling of sorts. Because I think you needn't be very famous, or let's say a very famous entrepreneur, a star, celebrity, none of that. Change starts from your immediate circumstances. Maybe raising a family can be the utmost joy in your life if you do it with involvement. So, the most important thing is the feeling of contributing to something bigger than your own limited self right now. So, just to take an example from the corporate environment, see, there are, I'm not generalizing, but just to kind of get across the point, there are roughly kind of two types of people, right? One who kind of work to just get a paycheck, and one works for a cause. a mission. So, talking to both these groups of people would help you to understand who lifts your spirits and whom you want to spend your time with. It is very easy to go past people who are just kind of meandering in life. What matters is you, my friend. Like, focus on the long term game, your own long term happiness and personal satisfaction by not giving in to the immediate pains and pleasures of life. So, Naval Ravikant, a very famous investor, says that escape competition through authenticity. So I think your aim in life should be to have a deadly combination of skills and experience in life, which is not easily replaceable. So the moment you can be replaced, I think it's only a matter of time before artificial intelligence would take over your job. So all these people who are kind of scared in this day and age of internet of artificial intelligence are so because, like, they have been doing something that is very mechanical in its approach, the standard tried and tested method, the well trodden path. We humans fear change, something that is completely new. So just to shift gears here, Anton Chekhov, the great Russian playwright, was fascinated by a love for plays. Marie Curie, the great scientist, was fascinated by labs. I find a sense of awe in these biographies. It's just like they did not choose their work chose them, simply because they were obsessive enough to explore their curiosities and genuine inclinations in life like crazy. The deeper you make the connection to your own self, the deeper your connection would be to your life's work, which I think would help you to do that work and not be affected by people around. So, a practical tip, or let's say two practical tips, would be journaling and meditating. These can be like game changers for you if you kind of do it with a sense of consistency, because it would help you to find your natural likes and dislikes. Then the aim should be to rig reality more towards what you like and bring them into existence, bring those ideas into fruition. Don't think you would stumble upon your life's work just by like sheer chance, or you're just like, waiting to kind of let something knock on your door. It requires heavy experimentation and active participation and effort from your end, maybe just reiterating again and again and again, trying different things when you're young, specifically speaking. So I think we are not so lucky that everything would be served to us in a platter. Taking active steps in the process to discover yourself is the single most important thing in your life above everything else. So, like, combine your experiences, your unique experiences, seek out new experiences, learn new skills, and polish your old skills to a point wherein you come in the top 5%. It's very easy. So, I think embracing negative experience in life and seeking them out consciously is the need for the hour. Don't avoid pain. One of my favorite quotes from Naval is like, easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life. So this basically means that the more hard choices you take right now in the present, the more easier it would be for you to drift in life and vice versa. So we ought to kind of become strong warriors in life who can withstand any amount of suffering in life. If you feel frustrated by pursuing that thing, make it a very good indicator, because in fighting that frustration, you ascend to higher levels of skill, which very few people do in life. It should be a joyful thing that you're kind of ascending in your skills day in, day out. So, one another practical tip, let's say when you're kind of doing that work, when you've found a certain set of skills which you want to cultivate, is consciously making deadlines. It helps you to get more work done in less, because you are focusing a heavy amount of energy on that task for that limited amount of time. So there is a very famous law by the name of Parkinson's law, which states that the work kind of adjusts itself to the time that you kind of assign to it. So if you think that a specific task would take 1 year, you would make efforts in that way that it would take 1 year. And let's say if you think that that work would take 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, you would do the same amount of work in that limited stipulated time. It could be 2 months, 3 months, whatever you have stipulated. So There is a very famous story about a famous Zen master by the name of Hakuin, who had become kind of increasingly frustrated by his master's anecdotes about enlightenment. Like he was kind of getting very desperate in this process, and like he was also not making a lot of progress. So what he told himself, it really fascinated me, that like if he fails to master any one of these anecdotes which his master has been telling him, he'll kill himself. And he had just given himself a timeline of 7 days. So then the story kind of goes on to say that he became enlightened, and then he kind of created values for a lot of people around him. Sometimes you would see that, like as you progress in your work, a lot of people would start criticizing you. So I personally follow the 5% rule, wherein only 5% of people genuinely kind of care about you and offer positive criticism, or let's say encouragement, in the same line of thought. Rest all people, I think, speak from envy, and it is clear from their tone. The kind of emotions they would add to their tone makes it clear, if looked at it objectively, that they're coming from a place of envy and jealousy. So, a practical way to kind of shut them down would be to ask for data. And how the hell do they know about that specific thing? Like, what is validating their opinion? They would try to change the subject to a more subjective metric when you talk about bringing objectivity into the picture, because they cannot produce genuine data to back up their arguments. The fight is over then and there itself. However, I would suggest that you kind of ignore these people. They are not even worth your time. If once in a while you feel like having fun, like destroy these people completely so that they never ever stand up to you again. So I think one other thing which is very important is, like when you're pursuing, let's say, these specific skills, that you find people who are ambitious like you, have well-rounded experience in all sorts of things, and are immensely practical in their approach towards the material world. And like they should also have a gentler side towards them. Like it could be their love of art, or let's say, like they are pursuing something which cultivates to their feminine side within them. So I think these are the best type of people to hang out with. It's not easy to find them in your immediate circumstances, but then this is where the power of net, online communities, and those sorts of things come, because then you're connected with the entire planet. So yeah, I think another tip would be that, like make subsets of goals from your larger goal, which are quite practical in their approach, and let's say can be achieved within a day or a week, because this helps you to see that you are advancing with a sense of purpose and would not be overwhelmed with anxiety and be drifted away in that process. So I think focusing on practical results and real life accomplishments, instead of having a very long list of unrealized goals or future dreams of what you want to do, or let's say a hell lot of projects. So always make it a thumb rule, work with smaller goals, and like always keeping your eye on the larger fish, but like be focused on the current goal itself, the smaller goal which you have in front of you. Another tip that comes in tandem with that is, eliminate like all levels of distraction which come into your routine. So the goal should be to maximize your time with your life's work. Prioritize the work more rather than your need for getting famous. So all the mind should be concerned with is the proposition to work. Like don't let it pick up battles which are just a waste of time. So like you thinking about, okay, I'll get famous, I'll get this money, that money, all those futuristic like benefits and all. Like ignore all of that, just be focused on the current work, current goal itself. So a very famous saying is that, like you should become the master of your mind rather than letting your mind master you. So at times, like you would see that when you're kind of pursuing these works, there are certain pangs of doubt. So I might say that replace them in that instant. It's okay. Like, if you're facing doubts right now, you would prove your worth to yourself using this work. Like by validating yourself from this work, you would prove your worth. So maybe just having that self dialogue within you, that like kills the spirit of doubt with faith which you have on your work. So the only tool that I have in my hand is my work. must get my work out no matter what happens. So this kind of thinking can really help you. So yeah, that's a small video which I wanted to do. I'll still kind of brainstorm around it more and start giving you more perspectives, but let me know what you feel about it. And this is Debashish Pindra from Debukidastak signing off. Cheers. Just a couple of updates. So my website is live now. So you can go to www.debukidastak.com. There you'll find a lot of resources. I have my blog running there. I have my reading list for the years. If you have any suggestions, comments, I'll be happy to take that feedback in and improve, because I just want to build a community which is hell smart and just always living in the world of ideas and making things happen.